This is the HPI Super Nitro, and I have made it great again. Well, just about perfect. As you could tell, it still needs a little bit of finishing trim work around the body over here. So if you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Here, we make Nitros great again. Doesn't matter how old they are. It usually doesn't matter what condition they're in. What matters is, at the end of this video, will we have a runner? I'm going to say 99% chance, yes it will. Let me give you a detailed chassis overview because this kind of model, it doesn't come along every single day. Now this is a freshly painted Alfa Romeo body. Shout out to a great channel viewer and member, Tony, for sending this one to me along the way. Let's take the body shell off and we will discuss the interior, because the interior is where all the magic happens. Now, by the way, guys, I know you're looking at the other two Nitros next to it. That's a Super Nitro Rally, and this is actually a special surprise. I think never before seen in any of my videos. Only the dedicated HPI lovers out there will know which model this is. This is arguably, I would say, the rarest one ever made. This HPI Super Nitro first came out in 1999. So what is the Super Nitro? It is essentially an extended, a lengthened RS4 chassis. The RS4 was the first generation belt drive touring car from HPI Racing from 1997. Now, the last model that was ever released was a 2002 ready to run with a 15FE. This one obviously has been modified. The main differences between this and a regular shorter chassis RS4 are, well, I'm going to point them out. We got a belt tensioner here in the front included, and normally there would be a belt tensioner here in the middle with a brace. I currently have the brace removed because I was rebuilding the bearings. So I'm going to put this back together. It will run just fine. One of the things people like to ask me in videos, especially with belt drive cars, is, well, do the belts go bad? Truth be told, I have never so far in my life come across one that needed a belt replacement. This one is actually close to being perfect condition. It's probably better than the serpentine belt in most people's cars right now that are on the road. Now, the Super Nitro chassis, the name comes from a special super racing class. Now, realistically speaking, the Super Nitro was not the best in that class. The Kyosho Super 10 and the Tamiya TG10 were the best in those classes, but those cars are even tougher, harder to get than these to this day. I would say in terms of the biggest production numbers, you're gonna see more Super Nitros than you will of the actual original Super Racing class, which just means extended chassis, but still running 10th scale electronics and regular small block engines. Now, me personally, I love the Super Nitro chassis because, as I just said, you can run the very inexpensive 10th scale engines from back in the day. Now, modern day today, we don't really have access to many proper small blocks. I think the only ones that are really popular now are the SH engines, and there's a couple of VX, basically clone engines out there. But back when this car was new, you would have had major competition for the small block engine segment. Now, this one is a 0.15 CV that I have had to do massive restoration repair on, and I took pictures along the way. We will get to that in just a little bit. These models, some of the negatives, I would say, they use a proprietary wheel size. So these wheels are much larger than the regular 10th scale wheels, such as the ones on this Nitro, and they are relatively tough to get. If you do use smaller wheels, what will happen is you will have, obviously, bad ride height. The bottom of the chassis on this one is fairly clean. I have done the best I can to restore it. You have real good access here to the flywheel. You can use a starter box if you have to. And in this case, yes, I definitely have to. Major shout out to David VIP Auto, who provided me with this Nitro. It was in real bad shape. But as I say on this channel, you cannot kill a Nitro. So how about let's take a couple minutes here. I took some pictures along the way. We will go through the process of restoration, and I will show you just how bad this thing actually was. Then we're gonna go outside and yell fire in the OS engine hole. Let's do it. By the way, If you like this kind of stuff, I would appreciate if you guys became a channel member. That would really help me make more nitros great again.
It all started with an HPI racing RS4 and it will never end.
Let's bring you back a little bit and recap the condition of this HPI that I actually got it in. You're looking at the actual pictures from the stream that I repaired it and tore it down. Very, very rusty. I would say the biggest culprit is the clutch bell. All of the lay shafts, everything had to be de-rusted. Even the engine screws had to be cut out. Luckily, I got the OS15CV engine out, but that was just the beginning of the show. I was barely able to even move the clutch bell. It was that rusted on. But once I got the back plate off, you could see inside, that is just some old varnish. Connecting rod looks good. This is fixable. Now look at the cooling head. You could see an idle bar glow plug. These are generally used for airplanes for running lower nitro content. Not needed for cars. Then I went on to try to remove the side brace. There was so much rust I couldn't even get those clips off. Luckily, rotary tool did the job. With it torn down, man, this thing is a rust bucket. But once you clean up the engine, the OS15CV is unkillable. Got ready, polished every part, got everything on a plate with a Chipotle napkin, and, well, I started putting it back together. New air filter foam in the Motor Saver air filter, and before you know it, the engine was almost ready to go back into the Super Nitro. As always, when I'm assembling a fresh engine, I add a new side exhaust gasket, put some silicone for the carburetor and the backplate. The hardest issue, I think, it will, in fact, be whether the clutch springs are strong enough. There was just so much rust on the clutch springs themselves. The rust itself has worn down some of the already very thin metal. Well, let's go outside. I'm going to find out whether the springs are tight enough. I got the RS4 here set up on the starter box. It is about to rain, so I gotta do this real quick. I did a real small preheat. Primed it already, so let's just do it. Enough wasting time. Fire in the Super Nitro OS engine hole. That's how you do it. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Starter box, fire in the hole, baby. Oh, it was promising. A lot of compression. Loosen the plug just a tad. Hope that is enough. I just need to do like a 1-minute fire up because, well, the rain is going down soon. Fire in the hole, take 2. There's right. All right. Now fired up a little bit. I'm gonna tighten it. The plug was too loose. Let's go again, baby. Let's go again. That was promising. At least we know it starts. Going better. Going better. So, idle seems to be okay. I'm just checking the idle on the tune. Can't kill an old OS, baby. Look at that. Pipe is smoking. OS engine running rich and loud. Hell yeah. Let me adjust the throttle trim actually. Alright, seems to be working. Carb is settling down. Yeah, I'm thinking the clutch springs are loose. Normally, it shouldn't be moving so fast at such a low idle. Clutch springs, too loose. Let's lower the idle a little more. Yeah, I'm basically at the minimum on the idle right there so far. So at this point, I'm gonna have to tune it needle-wise. I'm gonna see what I can get away with by just lowering the idle, but the clutch springs seem real loose. Turning the idle screw out. It's a little bit better, but I wouldn't say like a lot. Running rich and loud though. Let's keep with the tune. I'm gonna do a little more. Turning out the idle screw. This is real live tuning, bros. Real live. Alright, at this point, we gotta press the brakes. Yeah, even on the brakes, third gear wants to roll. That's not a good sign. But I mean, the clutch, I would say springs are like 50% toast. I got it to be a little bit better. But the idle, I could tell it's a little bit stagnant. Still a runner though, regardless. Can't kill an OS, my dude, can't do it. Look at that beauty run. That's a beauty. Let me let it idle here for pretty much the whole time. Oh yeah, engine is nice and cool. Could easily touch it, no problem. I got it to idle a little bit better at the slowest of the idle settings. The wheels no longer move. So obviously this will need to be road tested, but the proof is right here. OS engine is just getting it done. Notice that clutch bell lightly by there. Now that is not that perfect. So the clutch springs are for sure engaging. That's what that means. Not too good. They're not engaging enough to spin the drivetrain, but they are still engaging enough to, well, move the clutch bell in general. This will need a little more refinement, but look and listen to that OS engine and the CVEC pipe combo. Super Nitro 4 light. Well, my dudes, major success. This thing was a great sickening runner. But as always, they still need a little bit of work. As you saw, the clutch springs tend to have been engaging, even though my idle was fairly low. This is fairly common with these models as they get old. What do you expect? The springs inside that clutch are 25 plus years old. Now, I do want to point out a couple of the things that you might run into as a problem if you get one of these and you try working on them. One of the main things will be engine mounts, engine fit. Now, normally, these were designed to run engines like this. This is a HPI 15FE. There were several generations of these. This is the first generation, and you could tell because it has the simple cast non-anodized aluminum cooling head. The newer generations had purple cooling heads that were stacked fins upwards. Now, normally, these would mount directly into the chassis using the holes on the block itself. What this means is you would not have any gear mesh adjustment of any kind. That means if you use an engine that has needs to be adjusted in terms of any direction, if you change any gearing, you're not going to be able to use this because, well, you would need to have adjustable gear mesh. So problem number one, in order to install pretty much any aftermarket engine, normally they do not bolt directly to the block. You would need the HPI optional small block engine mounts, or you could source something from Wolfpack Radicals if you were so lucky to get some option parts. As for me, I do in fact have one of the original Wolfpack Radicals upgrades that I will be installing onto the Super Nitro. That will be the brace with the belt tensioner. So that's going to go on here in just a little while, probably after this video. I know you've been thinking, what model is this HPI? Well, let me know in the comment to this video what it is, and we'll see if you're right. Another issue you're going to run into, and it's probably something you could have noticed in this video, will be the exhaust. Now, these normally had exhaust that came out the rear like that through this little hole in the shock tower. Now, it was a regular can muffler with an integrated header. It did look pretty cool. You did have rear exhaust, and it did keep the chassis clean. Unfortunately, if you wanted more power, you would have had to get a side exhaust system. Notice my header here is not the perfect geometry, and in fact, my exhaust, which is a CVEC, tends to hit the side of the tank. It's also pretty crooked. If I put on that awesome Alfa Romeo body it's not going to sit straight. It's not going to look right. So I'm going to wait a little while to cut the body post holes into that Alfa Romeo, because soon when I get the correct RS4 exhaust, it should have a different header, and the exhaust itself, the tuned pipe portion should be mounted flatter against the side of the tank. From the top down view, you could see this is not a very good angle. It will run, but if you try to put a body on, it's not going to be good. And also over time, this could actually cause your fuel tank to melt from the heat of the pipe, depending on how you like to tune them. So keep in mind, there's going to be some issues with these cars if you try to repair them. But as I say on this channel, every Nitro is a work of art and deserves to be made great again. I want to say thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to become a Sickening Nitro Gang channel member. And then we will expose what this truly is. See you next time.
It all started with an HPI racing RS4, and it will never end.